The moment Dakota Fanning walked onto the stage of Late Night with Seth Meyers, the air in the studio seemed to change. You could almost hear the collective heartbeat of the audience, that anticipatory thrum that precedes something unforgettable. And in that moment, no one could have predicted just how explosive this appearance would become. But here's the question burning in everyone's mind. What happens when a Hollywood star publicly calls out a royal figure on live television, in front of millions of viewers, and labels her, without hesitation, a fake duchess? That's exactly what Dakota Fanning did, and the ramifications have rippled far beyond the confines of the studio. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Imagine the scene: the bright lights, the laughter of the live audience, the polished set of a late-night show, and Dakota, standing poised, almost serene, yet carrying an energy that suggested she knew exactly the effect her words would have. Behind the cameras, whispers buzzed. Off-camera, production assistants shifted nervously, sensing tension that went beyond a typical late-night banter. And somewhere, perhaps halfway across the country, Meghan Markle, the Duchess herself, might have been hearing about it. Or maybe she saw it live. And even if she hadn't yet, the social media storm that followed ensured she would soon know every word, every inflection, every shade of irony in Dakota's statement. You might be asking yourself, why would Dakota Fanning, an actress celebrated for her childhood roles, for her impeccable talent, and her quiet, sometimes understated demeanor, step into this kind of minefield? Why target Meghan Markle, a figure both revered and reviled in equal measure, someone whose public persona is a complex tapestry of Hollywood polish and royal expectation? And the answer is not as simple as a single insult. What Dakota said carried weight because it exposed something beneath the surface, something about perception, authenticity, and the fragile facade that even the most meticulously crafted public images rely upon. Before we dive into that moment, let's rewind a little. Meghan Markle's journey from Hollywood to royalty has been a story watched, analyzed, and dissected by millions around the world. She was the actress who lit up screens in suits, who carried herself with confidence and poise, who seemed to have a life that blended glamour, ambition, and talent. And then came the transition. Suddenly, the world wasn't just looking at Meghan the actress. They were scrutinizing Meghan the Duchess, Meghan the public figure whose every word, every gesture, every smile was dissected for meaning. The cameras didn't just follow her. They watched her breathe, move, and exist in a realm where privacy became a myth. And the pressure? Unimaginable. Enter Dakota Fanning, an actress who grew up in the spotlight in a very different way. Where Meghan transitioned into royalty, Dakota matured in Hollywood, navigating fame with a rare combination of grace and sharp intellect. She knows the mechanisms of celebrity, the delicate balance between public image and private reality. And it is this understanding, this awareness, that made what she said on Seth Meyers' show not just a passing remark, but a cultural lightning rod. Because when Dakota looked at Meghan and said she was a fake duchess, the comment was not just an insult. It was a challenge, a mirror held up to the constructed reality that Meghan inhabits, a question posed to everyone watching. How much of what you see is real, and how much is performance? But let's pause for a moment. Picture the immediate aftermath. The cameras keep rolling, yet somewhere, the audience collectively gasps. Seth Meyers, the ever-composed host, offers a subtle raise of the eyebrow, a split-second reaction that says, "We're treading on dangerous territory here." The live audience is caught between laughter, shock, and disbelief. And social media, is already beginning to ignite. Clips are being uploaded before the commercial break. Reactions are being typed out faster than anyone can process. Memes are born, tweets are sent with lightning speed, and hashtags begin trending before Dakota even leaves the stage. The drama is compounded by the timing. This isn't a random night on late-night television. This comes at a moment when Meghan Markle's public image is under renewed scrutiny. Perhaps it's a recent interview, perhaps a new venture, perhaps a charitable initiative that caught the public eye, but the timing makes Dakota's words feel almost surgical in their impact. And that's the beauty of this story. It isn't just about the insult itself. It's about timing, perception, and the unfolding narrative that the world can't look away from. Consider for a moment what it takes to maintain the image of royalty in the modern age. It's not merely about titles or ceremonial duties. It's about optics, perception, and constant engagement with the public. Every move is calculated, every gesture deliberate, every word filtered through layers of advisors, publicists, and protocol. Meghan Markle entered this world with a Hollywood mindset, accustomed to scripting her own narrative. But in the palace, in the world of crowns and centuries of tradition, the rules are different. And when Dakota Fanning, someone whose career is built on understanding authenticity and performance, calls her out, it cuts at the very heart of that tension. And yet, here's where the story deepens. What Dakota said wasn't just a critique, it was a statement that unleashed a cultural conversation. Is Meghan's image manufactured? Is her public persona an act of performance? What does it mean to be authentic when millions are watching every move? And more importantly, what does it reveal about the audience itself? The way we consume celebrity, royalty, and spectacle? The layers of this moment are astonishing, and we are only beginning to scratch the surface. Now, let's bring in the human element. Imagine being in Meghan Markle's shoes for a moment. You've devoted your life to bridging two worlds, Hollywood glamour and royal responsibility. You're constantly scrutinized, your actions interpreted through countless lenses. And then, a voice, someone from the other side of the spectrum, a Hollywood peer, steps forward and publicly undermines your authenticity. How do you respond? Do you defend yourself, maintaining composure, or do you react in private, calculating your next move? The emotional weight of such a moment is staggering, and it's something that resonates far beyond celebrity gossip. As the story unfolds, we'll explore more than just the words spoken on that stage. We'll delve into the backstage tensions, the immediate social media reaction, the responses from Meghan's inner circle, and the broader cultural implications. We'll look at how an offhand remark can become a seismic event in the lives of public figures, and why audiences are drawn to these moments like moths to a flame. We'll examine the psychology behind fame, the fragile balance of public perception, and the ways in which celebrity culture amplifies every interaction into a story of epic proportions. And here's where we leave the introduction hanging, because the next part of this story is where the real shock begins. Dakota Fanning's comment was not just a throwaway line. It was a spark that lit a firestorm of reactions, speculations, and revelations. The story does not end on the stage of Late Night with Seth Meyers. In fact, that moment was merely the beginning. What followed would reach beyond Hollywood, beyond the palace walls, and into the living rooms of millions who could not look away. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. What would you do if you were live on national television, millions of viewers watching, and you had the chance to say something that could humiliate a member of the royal family in front of the world? Dakota Fanning didn't hesitate. She stepped onto the Late Night with Seth Meyers stage like a woman who knew exactly what she was about to do, and the audience instantly sensed it. There was a kind of electricity in the air that is impossible to describe unless you've been in a moment where history, scandal, and entertainment collide in real time. This wasn't just another late-night segment. It was the prelude to a storm that would captivate the world. From the very moment Dakota appeared, there was an unmistakable aura of control and poise. Her stride, confident yet measured, her calm smile, the way she adjusted her hair under the studio lights, it all spoke volumes. She was not nervous. She was ready, and that readiness carried a quiet tension, the kind that signals to viewers something big is about to happen. Meanwhile, Seth Meyers, the unflappable host, greeted her warmly, but even he seemed to feel the weight of the moment. There was a pause, a fraction of a second longer than normal, almost as if the air itself was holding its breath. The cameras captured everything. The audience leaned forward, their laughter and chatter fading into anticipatory silence. And then, in a moment that would soon be replayed on social media thousands of times over, Dakota spoke. She didn't beat around the bush. Her words were sharp, deliberate, dripping with an ironic precision that left everyone wondering if they had just heard correctly. She called Meghan Markle a fake duchess. Just like that, a phrase that could have been dismissed as a casual jab became a seismic event in the world of celebrity and royalty. Now think about that phrase. Fake duchess. It's more than an insult. It's a challenge. It's a question posed to everyone watching. What is real, and what is performance? In that single line, Dakota managed to encapsulate years of public speculation, scrutiny, and fascination surrounding Meghan's persona. And the brilliance, or audacity, of it was in its timing. Dakota didn't need a long monologue. She didn't need to justify herself. One sentence was enough to ignite a firestorm. The live audience erupted with nervous laughter and shocked murmurs. Seth Meyers, known for his quick wit and ability to diffuse tension, smiled faintly, but the tension was palpable. He sensed that the segment had just moved from standard celebrity banter to something far more combustible. Cameras panned across the audience, capturing reactions ranging from stunned silence to excited whispers. Every eye was glued to Dakota, as if the next words she would say might alter the course of public perception. Meanwhile, off-camera, production staff whispered urgently into headsets. Was this scripted? Was this part of a planned joke? Or was Dakota simply speaking her mind in a way that the producers hadn't anticipated? These moments of uncertainty, of high-stakes unpredictability, are what make television unforgettable. And this night would become one of those rare occasions. Imagine for a moment the tension in Meghan Markle's world. The Duchess, who has spent years navigating the delicate balance of royal decorum and public expectation, suddenly becomes the subject of a Hollywood actress's critique, live, and with millions watching. How do you respond? Do you tweet a defense? Do you speak through the press? Or do you remain silent, letting the words linger and the world speculate? The psychological pressure is enormous, and Dakota knew it. That was part of the calculation. But let's rewind a little further. To understand the impact of this moment, you have to understand the stakes. Meghan Markle's public image has always been a carefully curated blend of Hollywood confidence and royal poise. Every smile, every gesture, every outfit is scrutinized, debated, and dissected. Dakota, a peer from the entertainment world, has a different kind of credibility. She doesn't operate under royal protocol. She operates under authenticity, the ability to speak truthfully, to express judgment without layers of advisors filtering every word. And when someone like Dakota calls Meghan fake, it cuts deeper than a casual insult. It's a statement about identity, perception, and the thin line between performance and reality. The segment continued, and each line Dakota delivered carried a subtle intensity. Her anecdotes, her reflections on Hollywood, and her nuanced observations built the tension further. She wasn't being overtly mean-spirited. She was being incisive. Every pause, every carefully chosen word, amplified the effect. It was as if the audience, both in the studio and at home, were watching a slow-motion collision of two worlds, the glittering, performative world of Hollywood and the rigid, ceremonial world of royalty. And the audience's reaction was immediate. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips of Dakota's words circulated on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, each new upload generating thousands of comments, likes, and shares. Memes were born, hashtags trended, and debates raged. Was Dakota being harsh? Was she speaking a truth that no one dared say? Or was this just another celebrity moment blown out of proportion by the media? The conversation quickly spilled beyond entertainment circles into cultural commentary. Analysts dissected every syllable, every facial expression, every nuance of tone. And it didn't stop there. The tension in the studio mirrored the tension outside it. Backstage, producers whispered, interns shook their heads, and even Seth Meyers, maintaining his calm persona, had to acknowledge the ripple effect of what had just happened. And somewhere in this whirlwind, Meghan Markle's team was likely mobilizing. Rumors would later suggest that advisors were scrambling to assess the impact, to gauge public sentiment, and to formulate any possible response. The chess game of perception was in full motion, and Dakota had just made the first move. Now, consider the cultural implications. This wasn't just a celebrity feud. This was a collision of worlds, a confrontation that symbolized larger societal obsessions with authenticity, fame, and the scrutiny of women in the public eye. Dakota's words challenged not only Meghan but the audience itself. What do we value? Is it the titles, the appearances, the curated public persona? Or do we crave something genuine, something that resonates as authentic? And here's the kicker. Many viewers, while shocked, also found themselves nodding, questioning the image they had of Meghan, reflecting on the very notion of public identity in the modern age. As the show went on, Dakota continued to speak, weaving humor and insight into her commentary, building the narrative in ways that captivated viewers. The live audience's reactions ranged from laughter to gasps to stunned silence, each emotion amplified by the immediacy of the television format. It was a performance in itself, a study in how words can wield power, how a single phrase can dominate headlines, and how a public figure can be both elevated and humiliated in one fleeting moment. But what made this night truly unforgettable wasn't just Dakota's words. It was the ripple effect they triggered. Within hours, news outlets across the globe were covering the story. Experts weighed in, cultural commentators debated the meaning, and social media erupted with personal opinions, jokes, and analysis. Every angle was examined. The power dynamics, the historical implications of royalty being publicly critiqued by a Hollywood actress, and the psychological impact on both Meghan and the public who consumed the drama. And here's the part that most people don't realize. Moments like these aren't just entertainment. They are cultural phenomena. They shape conversations, influence perceptions, and in some cases, redefine the way we think about public figures. Dakota Fanning, whether intentionally or not, had sparked a discussion about fame, authenticity, and power that extended far beyond the studio, far beyond late-night television, and into the very core of celebrity culture itself. By the time Dakota left the stage, the world had shifted just slightly. Conversations were underway, online communities were buzzing, and the question lingered: how would Meghan respond? Would she confront the remark, ignore it, or find some subtle way to reclaim her narrative? The tension was palpable, and the uncertainty made the story irresistible. Millions were now invested in what came next, watching, waiting, analyzing. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Have you ever wondered what makes someone fearless enough to publicly humiliate a duchess on live television? Most people would hesitate, weigh the consequences, maybe even think twice. Not Dakota Fanning. Her reputation, built over decades in Hollywood, gave her a confidence that few possess. But the question lingers: who is Dakota Fanning, really? Beyond the cameras, the fame, the red carpets. What drives someone to step into the spotlight and strike at the very heart of royalty, in front of millions, with a single, sharp phrase? Dakota's story begins long before she ever uttered the words that shocked the world. Born into a family that understood show business, Dakota was thrust into the Hollywood machine at an age when most children are still learning to ride bicycles. She made her film debut at the tender age of 5, appearing in commercials and small roles, but it was her breakout role in I Am Sam that cemented her place as a child prodigy. Critics were astounded by her depth, her ability to convey complex emotions with subtlety far beyond her years. And that was just the beginning. From those early roles, Dakota developed an understanding of fame that most never acquire. She saw the highs of acclaim and the lows of scrutiny. She learned to navigate an industry that rewards brilliance but punishes mistakes. She understood that every word, every expression, every choice in public could be dissected and analyzed. And over time, this understanding gave her a certain clarity, a rare insight into human behavior and the performative nature of celebrity. It also gave her courage, the kind of courage that allows someone to speak uncomfortable truths, even when the stakes are unimaginably high. And make no mistake, Dakota is not reckless. Her persona is carefully balanced, her public appearances thoughtful, her interviews measured. But beneath the calm exterior lies a mind that observes, analyzes, and calculates impact. She knows how to command attention without shouting, how to make a point without losing nuance. It's this combination of intelligence, experience, and instinct that made her words about Meghan Markle so potent. Because she didn't just call Meghan a fake duchess. She did it in a way that cut through the spectacle, the fanfare, and the narrative carefully curated by royal advisors. She cut to the heart of perception, and that is what makes her someone to be reckoned with. Consider her career trajectory. From child star to respected actress, Dakota has continually evolved. She's taken on roles that challenge stereotypes, defy expectations, and showcase her depth. Films like War of the Worlds, The Runaways, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood reveal her ability to inhabit characters fully, to convey emotion authentically, and to command the screen without relying on gimmicks. She has never needed scandal to remain relevant. Her credibility is earned, her influence organic. And that influence matters when she speaks about someone like Meghan Markle because the audience senses authenticity in her voice. But Dakota's influence is more than just career credibility. It's her understanding of human psychology, her awareness of how perception shapes reality. She has witnessed firsthand how a misstep, a misinterpretation, or a poorly chosen word can alter a career, a public image, a legacy. And yet, she has also seen how authenticity, carefully wielded, can elevate someone above the noise, can command respect, and can leave a lasting imprint. When Dakota called Meghan a fake duchess, she wasn't simply being cruel. She was articulating an observation, a commentary on the tension between persona and authenticity, and she did so with the precision of someone who knows exactly how to make an impact. But let's explore her public persona a bit further, because it's not just about her career. Dakota is known for her calm demeanor, her intelligence, and her understated charm. She rarely engages in public feuds, she rarely seeks the spotlight for controversy, and she rarely allows her personal opinions to become tabloid fodder. And yet, when she chooses to speak, people listen. Her words carry weight not because they are sensational, but because they are measured, deliberate, and, when necessary, incisive. The rare combination of credibility and courage is what made the moment on Seth Meyers' show so extraordinary. Think about it. In Hollywood, where ego and ambition often clash, Dakota has maintained a reputation that balances talent with humility. She has navigated the treacherous waters of fame, avoiding the pitfalls that ensnare so many child actors. She has grown into a woman whose presence commands attention without demanding it, whose voice carries authority without arrogance. And in this context, the act of calling Meghan Markle a fake duchess was not just bold. It was a statement from someone whose opinion matters. Here's a surprising fact. Many viewers, upon hearing Dakota's comment, assumed it was impulsive, spontaneous, or fueled by a personal grudge. But insiders suggest that Dakota's remarks were carefully considered. She understands the mechanics of media, the power of viral moments, and the cultural resonance of her words. Every gesture, every intonation, every nuance was intentional. This wasn't a celebrity throwing shade for fun. This was a calculated move by someone who knows exactly how to maximize impact. And yet, Dakota is also human. Despite her poise and strategic thinking, there is an emotional layer that makes her relatable. She has experienced pressure, scrutiny, and expectation throughout her life. She knows what it feels like to have your every move analyzed, to have the world form judgments about your character, and to have your reputation subjected to public opinion. This duality, strength and vulnerability, gives her commentary depth. When she labeled Meghan a fake duchess, it wasn't just criticism. It was an assertion from someone who understands the weight of public perception because she has carried it herself. Now, consider the stakes again. The royal family is not a casual audience. Criticism, even from a Hollywood actress, can have far-reaching consequences. Every word is amplified, every interpretation scrutinized, every reaction noted by publicists, media, and fans. Dakota knew this, and yet, she chose to speak. That choice speaks volumes about her character. It tells the audience that she is not afraid of backlash, that she understands the cultural moment she is stepping into, and that she is willing to assert her perspective even when it challenges powerful institutions. But what makes Dakota Fanning's words truly unforgettable is the contrast between her calm delivery and the chaos they unleashed. She did not shout. She did not stomp her feet or resort to theatrics. She simply stated her observation with clarity, precision, and timing. And the world, captivated, could not look away. The reaction was instantaneous. Clips went viral, social media exploded, news outlets reported, and analysts debated the meaning, intention, and consequences. Dakota's single sentence had triggered a chain reaction that would unfold for weeks, months, and perhaps even years. And yet, there's more to Dakota than just her public persona. To fully understand the gravity of her actions, you must also understand her background, her upbringing, and the way she has been conditioned to navigate the complexities of celebrity. Growing up in a supportive family that valued discipline, integrity, and independence, Dakota developed a foundation that allowed her to face the pressures of fame with confidence. She learned early that talent alone is not enough. Judgment, awareness, and strategy are equally important. These lessons, absorbed from childhood, inform every decision she makes today, including the decision to speak boldly about Meghan Markle. Finally, consider this. Dakota Fanning represents a generation of performers who are fearless, self-aware, and culturally savvy. She understands that words have power, that timing is critical, and that perception can be manipulated. When she called Meghan a fake duchess, it was not a simple insult. It was an exhibition of authority, intelligence, and understanding. It was a moment that reminded the world why Dakota commands attention, respect, and influence in Hollywood and beyond. And here's where the chapter leaves you hanging. While we've explored Dakota's background, career, and mindset, the story is far from over. What she said on Seth Meyers' stage was only the beginning. The ripple effects would touch not only Meghan's public image but also Hollywood, social media, and the global audience watching every move. There were reactions brewing behind the scenes that no one could predict, and the consequences of that single sentence would soon reveal just how much power one voice can wield. But what happened next, what Meghan's team did in response, how the public frenzy escalated, and what Dakota herself thought afterward, would take the story to an entirely new level. And it was a level no one saw coming. Have you ever wondered what it truly takes to move from being a Hollywood actress to becoming a member of the royal family? For Meghan Markle, it was not just a career transition. It was a life transformation that would test every ounce of her public persona, her personal resilience, and her ability to navigate worlds that are as diametrically opposed as night and day. But before the crowns, the palace, and the global scrutiny, there was Hollywood, the place where Meghan learned to act, to charm, and, most importantly, to perform for the world. Meghan's Hollywood journey began in the sun-drenched streets of Los Angeles, where she pursued acting with a determination that was evident even in her earliest roles. From small guest appearances on television to indie films, she was building more than a resume. She was constructing a persona, a blend of confidence, sophistication, and relatability. Every audition, every callback, every scene was a step toward mastering the subtle art of influence and perception, skills that would later define her royal narrative. Think about it. Hollywood is a world that teaches young actors to perform under pressure, to balance critique and ego, and to navigate the constant gaze of an audience that is often both adoring and critical. For Meghan, this was not merely a job, it was a rigorous schooling in image management. She learned how to project authenticity while being acutely aware of optics. She learned how to smile, how to appear empathetic, how to make audiences feel connected to her. And she excelled at it. Her role on Suits, in particular, was transformative. It was not only her breakout role, but it also positioned her as a rising star, someone who could command attention and respect with poise and intelligence. But Hollywood is not just about talent, it's about perception. Every public appearance, every interview, every photograph contributes to the narrative that the world constructs about you. Meghan understood this. She cultivated an image of sophistication and charm, but also relatability. She was glamorous yet approachable, confident yet thoughtful. She knew how to navigate the scrutiny of the paparazzi and the media, often turning challenges into opportunities to reinforce her persona. It was this skill set, this ability to manipulate perception while maintaining an air of authenticity, that would later make her a compelling figure when she entered the world of royalty. However, while Meghan's Hollywood career was ascending, it was also rife with challenges and contradictions. On one hand, she was celebrated as a talented actress and humanitarian, praised for her advocacy work and her commitment to social causes. On the other hand, she faced criticism, skepticism, and the occasional public backlash, an inevitable consequence of being a woman in Hollywood who dared to be ambitious, outspoken, and unapologetically herself. These experiences honed a resilience that would prove invaluable when she faced the unique pressures of royal life. What many fail to realize is that Meghan's Hollywood roots also shaped her understanding of narrative control. In Los Angeles, she learned how to manage public perception, how to craft an image that resonates with audiences, and how to navigate criticism without losing control of her story. She understood that public perception can be both a weapon and a shield. When Dakota Fanning labeled her a fake duchess, it was not just an attack on Meghan as a royal. It was an echo of the scrutiny she had faced throughout her acting career, a challenge to the authenticity she had so carefully cultivated. Let's take a moment to examine the paradox of Meghan's Hollywood training. On the one hand, it gave her the skills to be polished, articulate, and media-savvy. On the other, it made her vulnerable to criticism from those who perceive her as overly performative. Hollywood rewards performance, but royalty scrutinizes authenticity. And when these two worlds collide, as they did on that night at Late Night with Seth Meyers, the results can be explosive. Dakota's comment struck at the intersection of these two realities. The world saw Meghan as both a product of Hollywood polish and a royal figure whose authenticity was being questioned. Consider the skills Meghan acquired through her Hollywood experiences. She learned to read a room, to gauge reactions, and to adjust her demeanor accordingly. She understood timing, delivery, and the subtleties of influence. She developed a persona that could inspire empathy, trust, and admiration, all traits that serve well in public life. Yet, she also developed habits that some critics would later interpret as overly strategic, overly calculated, a tendency to manage every impression with precision. And it is precisely this tension between authenticity and performance that made Dakota Fanning's words resonate so strongly with audiences. The pressures of Hollywood also instilled in Meghan a profound understanding of personal branding. In the entertainment industry, branding is everything. It determines the roles you are offered, the endorsements you receive, and the trajectory of your career. Meghan mastered this art. She projected an image of sophistication, intelligence, and social consciousness. She built alliances with influential figures, engaged in philanthropic work, and cultivated a persona that extended beyond the screen. And yet, the very skills that made her successful in Hollywood would later be interpreted differently when she assumed her role within the royal family. It's important to recognize that Hollywood and royalty operate under fundamentally different rules. In Hollywood, success often depends on the ability to perform, to adapt, and to influence perception. Criticism is expected, and strategic image management is celebrated. In the royal world, however, perception is dictated by centuries of tradition, and deviation from established norms can lead to intense scrutiny and backlash. Meghan's Hollywood background gave her a set of tools for navigating fame, but it also made her a target for those who equate performance with inauthenticity. Dakota Fanning's comment didn't emerge in a vacuum. It was amplified by the tension inherent in Meghan's dual identity as actress and duchess. Let's also not forget the human side of Meghan's Hollywood experience. Behind the carefully curated public persona was a woman navigating complex personal and professional challenges. Long hours on set, intense media scrutiny, and the constant pressure to perform took a toll. Yet, Meghan displayed remarkable resilience, balancing her career ambitions with her personal values and advocacy work. These experiences shaped her, forged her determination, and cultivated a sense of purpose that would later guide her actions within the royal family. And here's where the story becomes particularly compelling. Meghan's Hollywood roots provided her with skills, but they also set the stage for vulnerability. The public has always been fascinated by her, intrigued by her charisma, her elegance, her intelligence. But fascination can quickly turn to scrutiny, admiration to skepticism, especially when someone steps into a world governed by rigid protocol and centuries of expectation. When Dakota Fanning called her a fake duchess, it was not just an affront. It was a moment that exposed the fault lines between public perception and personal authenticity. The interplay between Hollywood experience and royal life is crucial to understanding the impact of that night. Dakota's words cut through the carefully maintained narrative of Meghan's persona, highlighting a tension that had been building for years. The public could sense it. Here was a woman whose past had been shaped by performance, and whose present was defined by expectation. The comment resonated because it tapped into the collective curiosity and fascination with Meghan's dual identity. People wanted to know, was she the real deal, or was she playing a part? And now, as the world watched the clip over and over, dissecting every inflection and every gesture, the fascination intensified. Social media erupted with opinions, memes, and debates. Hollywood insiders weighed in, fans defended, critics attacked. The conversation expanded beyond the confines of the show, reaching a global audience eager to participate in the narrative. It was a cultural moment that demonstrated the power of perception, the fragility of image, and the intense scrutiny faced by public figures operating at the intersection of fame and tradition. But the night's story doesn't end with the clip going viral. Behind the scenes, reactions were already brewing, and the stakes were higher than anyone outside the immediate circles could imagine. Advisors, media strategists, and palace insiders were assessing damage, debating potential responses, and considering the long-term implications. Every decision carried weight, every move was calculated, and the tension was palpable. The Hollywood to royal pipeline, so carefully navigated by Meghan, had encountered an unpredictable force, and the consequences were only beginning to unfold. And here's the cliffhanger that keeps the audience riveted. While we've traced Meghan's roots and the skills she acquired in Hollywood, the next chapter of this story reveals the very moment Dakota Fanning's words hit Meghan, and the immediate reactions that no one saw coming. It's the bridge between past and present, preparation and consequence, perception and reality. And that bridge, my friends, is about to be crossed. But what happened when Meghan finally confronted the reality of Dakota's comment, both publicly and privately, would escalate the tension to a level that would shock everyone, including Hollywood, royalty, and fans around the world. Have you ever paused and thought about the power a single phrase can hold? One sentence, spoken at the right or wrong moment, can reverberate across the globe, sparking outrage, debate, and viral frenzy. This is exactly what happened when Dakota Fanning, poised on the stage of Late Night with Seth Meyers, looked directly into the lens of cameras that transmitted her image into millions of homes and declared Meghan Markle a fake duchess. But what does that mean? Why did those words cut so sharply? And what made them stick in the minds of audiences long after the segment ended? To understand, we need to dig deeper into the layers of context, perception, and the tense intersection of Hollywood and royalty. At first glance, the words seem simple, almost casual. Fake duchess. 2 words. But each syllable is loaded with implication. In public perception, fake is a term that implies insincerity, deception, and inauthenticity. When paired with duchess, it's not just a critique of character. It's a question of legitimacy, of authenticity, of worthiness. It is a line that challenges Meghan's very identity, both as a royal figure and as a public persona. And the brilliance, or audacity, of Dakota's phrasing lies in its ambiguity. It's both specific and universal, personal and public, an insult and an observation all at once. Consider the stage for a moment. Seth Meyers' studio, typically a space for humor, light banter, and celebrity promotion, transformed into a battleground of perception and social commentary. The live audience, accustomed to predictable exchanges, was suddenly thrust into a charged atmosphere. Some laughed nervously, unsure whether to take it as a joke. Others whispered to neighbors, their reactions mirroring the confusion that gripped millions watching at home. And then there were the cameras, capturing every glance, every inflection, and every subtle shift in Dakota's expression, a meticulous study in controlled delivery. But the context doesn't stop with the studio. The insult gains its potency from the history and public perception surrounding Meghan Markle. She is not just a duchess. She is a figure who has navigated a dual life, Hollywood celebrity and royal icon. Her every move has been scrutinized, debated, and dissected by tabloids, social media, and cultural commentators. She has been both celebrated and vilified, praised for her advocacy and criticized for perceived missteps. Against this backdrop, the word fake lands with far more weight than a casual remark. It resonates with ongoing debates about authenticity, privilege, and public image. Now, let's examine the choice of words. Dakota could have said many things, criticized Meghan's behavior, commented on her style, or even made a lighthearted jest. But she didn't. She chose a phrase that strikes at identity. Fake duchess implies a dissonance between title and substance. It's not merely about appearances, it's about credibility. It is an accusation that Meghan's public persona is constructed, curated, and perhaps even performative, crafted for media consumption rather than genuine representation. And the genius of Dakota's delivery was in the subtlety. She did not raise her voice, did not gesticulate dramatically. She stated it plainly, letting the words carry their own power. But here's the fascinating part. The insult's potency is amplified by the world's reaction. Within seconds, clips surfaced on social media platforms. Fans, critics, and casual viewers alike replayed the segment, dissecting tone, inflection, and facial expressions. Memes proliferated, hashtags trended, and the phrase "fake duchess" became shorthand for a cultural conversation about celebrity, royalty, and authenticity. And it wasn't just social media. Major news outlets picked up the story, analysts debated the meaning, and late-night commentary programs dissected every nuance. The simple statement became a cultural flashpoint. Let's add another layer. Dakota's words also resonate because they echo broader criticisms Meghan has faced. From the beginning of her royal life, Meghan has been subjected to intense scrutiny. Criticism for her fashion choices, commentary on her accent and demeanor, and speculation about her intentions. By calling her a fake duchess, Dakota tapped into an existing narrative, one that questions Meghan's authenticity, while framing it in a way that felt direct, personal, and unfiltered. It was an insult that felt both new and inevitable, as if someone had finally voiced what many had been thinking, but few dared to say aloud. Now, imagine being Meghan Markle, watching or hearing about this remark. What would go through your mind? The term fake is an accusation loaded with social and psychological weight. It suggests insincerity, deception, and a lack of legitimacy. As someone whose life has been defined by both public scrutiny and the need to maintain composure, the impact would be immense. And the fact that it was delivered by a peer, someone from Hollywood, a space Meghan knows intimately, adds another dimension. Dakota's credibility, built over decades of film and television work, ensures that her words are not easily dismissed. They are not idle gossip. They carry authority. And yet, the insult is not merely personal. It is performative in itself. Dakota's comment functions on multiple levels. It entertains, provokes thought, and ignites conversation. It appeals to audiences who are fascinated by royalty, intrigued by celebrity drama, and compelled by the tension between appearance and reality. Every viewer interprets it differently. Some see humor, others see critique, and still others see social commentary. This multiplicity of interpretation is what makes the insult so powerful. It is both a punchline and a mirror, reflecting back the complexities of public life, fame, and scrutiny. Let's also consider the historical context. Royals, throughout history, have been scrutinized by both media and public alike. Criticism of monarchs and their spouses is not new, but in the modern age, the reach and immediacy of that criticism are unprecedented. In previous generations, a remark like Dakota's might have been whispered in elite circles or reported in print days later. Today, it is instantaneous, global, and amplified by millions of digital voices. The combination of traditional respect for royalty and modern celebrity culture creates a perfect storm, and Dakota's comment landed squarely in that storm. Furthermore, the word fake carries moral and social weight. It implies inauthenticity, a lack of sincerity, and a misalignment between appearance and reality. In Meghan's case, this cuts deeply because her life is lived in the spotlight. Every gesture, every word, every charitable endeavor is observed and interpreted. To be called fake is not merely to be insulted. It is to have your identity, your choices, and your public persona called into question. And the phrase duchess, juxtaposed with fake, heightens the tension, underscoring the gap between expectation and perception. It's also crucial to understand the delivery. Dakota did not yell, she did not gesticulate wildly, and she did not make the comment in a context that invited laughter or applause. Her delivery was measured, calm, and precise, which forced the audience to process the words on their own terms. The lack of theatricality made the statement feel real, credible, and unavoidable. And this is why it became such a cultural flashpoint. It wasn't just what she said, but how she said it. Audience engagement skyrocketed. Social media users debated the meaning of the insult endlessly. News outlets ran follow-up pieces analyzing every nuance, from Dakota's tone to Meghan's possible reactions. Late-night comedians referenced the moment, adding layers of humor and cultural commentary. And yet, the real story was unfolding behind the headlines. What was Meghan thinking? How would her team respond? And could this one phrase have lasting implications for her public image? Here's where the cliffhanger comes in. Dakota Fanning's words did not merely end at the studio. They triggered a chain reaction of media scrutiny, palace deliberations, and global conversation. The insult itself was only the spark. The firestorm that followed would reach Hollywood, royal insiders, and audiences across the world, each reaction more intense than the last. And while the public was focused on the words themselves, behind the scenes, something far more complex was brewing, one that no one anticipated, and that would forever alter the narrative surrounding Meghan Markle. But what happened after those words left Dakota's lips? What Meghan did in response, how advisors scrambled, and how the world debated authenticity versus perception, would push this story into uncharted territory, and the consequences were far greater than anyone imagined. Have you ever seen a single moment explode across the internet like wildfire? The kind of viral event that sparks debates, memes, and trending hashtags before you've even finished reading the headline? That was exactly what happened the moment Dakota Fanning called Meghan Markle a fake duchess on Late Night with Seth Meyers. Within minutes, social media erupted, and the world, Hollywood, royalty watchers, and casual viewers alike, was caught in the eye of a storm that no one saw coming. But what made this particular incident so explosive? And why did millions feel compelled to weigh in? To understand, we need to examine the dynamics of modern digital culture, public fascination with royalty, and the irresistible allure of celebrity conflict. The first wave hit almost instantly. Clips of Dakota's comment were uploaded to Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube within minutes. Social media algorithms, designed to detect engagement and amplify it, took hold. Views skyrocketed. Comments poured in. The phrase, fake duchess, became shorthand for public debate, shorthand for a cultural conversation that spanned continents. Some users applauded Dakota's audacity. Others criticized her for overstepping boundaries. Still others speculated about Meghan's reaction, sparking countless theories and endless discussions. Within an hour, the hashtag #FakeDuchess was trending worldwide. What makes social media so powerful in these moments is the immediacy and scale. Unlike traditional media, where stories take hours or days to spread, social media operates in real time. Millions of viewers simultaneously become content creators, analysts, and commentators. Memes were born within the first 30 minutes. Some mocked Meghan's alleged public persona, while others crafted elaborate GIFs juxtaposing Dakota's calm demeanor with the shocked reactions of the audience. The virality was organic, unstoppable, and relentless. But here's the fascinating twist. The conversation was not limited to one narrative. Within the digital sphere, multiple interpretations coexisted. Some argued that Dakota was simply speaking truth to power, a Hollywood insider exposing what she saw as inauthenticity. Others framed it as a personal attack, a deliberate humiliation designed to undermine Meghan's public image. The debate quickly transcended the initial clip, moving into broader discussions about celebrity culture, social media ethics, and the blurred line between entertainment and personal critique. Audiences were not just passive consumers. They were active participants, shaping the narrative with every tweet, share, and comment. The emotional intensity of the reactions was remarkable. Some users expressed outrage, defending Meghan and attacking Dakota for perceived disrespect. Others reveled in the drama, sharing GIFs, witty captions, and commentary with friends. The meme culture that erupted around the phrase, fake duchess, created a feedback loop, reinforcing engagement and driving even more attention to the incident. Social media had become both the amplifier and the battleground, where public opinion was formed, challenged, and reshaped in real time. Consider the human psychology behind this. People are drawn to conflict, especially when it involves high-profile figures like Meghan Markle. There's a fascination with the collision of worlds, Hollywood versus royalty, fame versus tradition, authenticity versus perception. Dakota's comment was a catalyst, triggering a complex web of reactions rooted in curiosity, schadenfreude, and genuine concern. Audiences were not merely watching. They were emotionally invested, debating, empathizing, and, in many cases, taking sides. and the speed at which the social media storm unfolded was unprecedented. By the next hour, news outlets had picked up the story, often using clips and screenshots from social media as primary sources. Tweets were quoted in articles. Instagram reactions were embedded in reports. YouTube recaps dissected Dakota's phrasing, analyzing tone, facial expression, and timing. The lines between social media commentary and mainstream journalism blurred, creating a feedback loop that amplified every interpretation and every reaction. One surprising fact: some analysts noted that the clip's virality was boosted not only by the insult itself, but also by the timing of the broadcast. Late-night shows often air when millions of viewers are winding down, scrolling through feeds, and discussing daily events online. By tapping into this highly active audience, Dakota's comment became a social media phenomenon almost instantaneously. The algorithms, the psychology of engagement, and the cultural fascination with royalty combined to create the perfect storm. And it wasn't just ordinary viewers who engaged. Influencers, journalists, and other celebrities weighed in. Late-night hosts referenced the moment in subsequent episodes. Entertainment bloggers dissected the clip frame by frame. Royal commentators analyzed the implications for Meghan's public image. Each new layer of commentary added fuel to the fire, expanding the reach and impact of a single sentence. The online conversation became a multidimensional spectacle, as if every platform, every user, and every analyst had a stake in the unfolding narrative. But there's more. The emotional spikes generated by social media are key to understanding why moments like this persist. Outrage, humor, curiosity, and empathy drive engagement. Memes evoke laughter. Heated debates provoke argument. Speculation triggers curiosity. By combining these emotional triggers, the fake duchess moment became irresistible, creating a cycle where attention fed attention and virality fed virality. Every share, comment, and like reinforced the cultural weight of Dakota's words. Audience questions emerged rapidly. Was Dakota justified? Was Meghan being unfairly criticized? Did the public care more about scandal than substance? Each question added layers to the conversation, ensuring that engagement remained high for days, even weeks. People were not just consuming content. They were participating in a global discussion about fame, authenticity, and the scrutiny of women in power. Now, consider Meghan's position. The social media frenzy meant that the comment could not be ignored. Her team faced a difficult calculus. Respond too quickly, and it might seem reactive or defensive. Ignore it, and it could allow the narrative to spiral out of control. The speed and scale of social media amplified every decision, making reputation management a high-stakes game where one misstep could have lasting consequences. The ripple effect extended beyond Meghan and Dakota. Fans of both figures engaged in digital battles, forming online camps, defending or attacking, analyzing or mocking. Articles and online media proliferated, each quoting posts from Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. Opinion pieces debated the cultural significance of calling someone fake in the era of digital scrutiny. Discussions moved into forums, podcasts, and late-night commentary. Every new contribution increased visibility and reinforced the viral momentum. And here's the striking irony. Dakota's comment, intended as a personal observation, became a cultural phenomenon that transcended intent. It illuminated societal preoccupations with image, authenticity, and the scrutiny faced by public figures. It sparked debates about privilege, performance, and the collision of two worlds, Hollywood and royalty, that few outsiders fully understand. Audiences were simultaneously entertained, outraged, and fascinated, a trifecta that fuels online virality like nothing else. The social media explosion also revealed the complex interplay between modern celebrity and traditional institutions. Whereas a royal criticism in the past might have been contained or quietly managed, today, platforms like Twitter and TikTok transform commentary into a global conversation in real time. Dakota's words, amplified by likes, shares, and retweets, reached far beyond the studio, entering living rooms, offices, and cafes across the world. The impact was immediate, intense, and unavoidable. And while the public debate raged, insiders suggested that the palace and Meghan's team were monitoring every platform, every trending hashtag, and every viral clip. Strategies were being considered, narratives assessed, and potential responses calculated. The immediacy of social media made every second consequential. What happens in the digital sphere no longer stays online. It shapes perception, influences media coverage, and can even affect personal and institutional reputations. Dakota's remark had initiated a perfect storm of digital amplification, leaving Meghan in a position where every move mattered. And yet, amidst the chaos, there was a fascinating cultural observation. The moment revealed society's obsession with dual identities, public versus private, celebrity versus royalty, image versus authenticity. Audiences were captivated not just by the insult, but by the broader implications it suggested about persona, performance, and scrutiny. The fake duchess label became a lens through which millions examined broader questions about authenticity, trust, and perception in the modern age. But the story does not end with social media reactions. The immediate online frenzy was only the beginning. Beyond the clips, tweets, and memes, there were deeper consequences, strategic responses, and unseen reactions unfolding behind the scenes. Advisors, media strategists, and palace insiders were all assessing the impact, trying to gauge whether the moment was a fleeting scandal or the start of something far more significant. And here's where the cliffhanger lands. While the public consumed memes, tweets, and viral clips, the behind-the-scenes maneuvers, the private calculations, the media strategy, and the palace's response were about to escalate the story to a level that would shock even the most seasoned observers. The next chapter of this saga would reveal how the social media explosion became a catalyst for decisions, reactions, and consequences that no one anticipated. But what came next, how the palace responded, how Meghan's team strategized, and how the conversation spilled into mainstream media would push the story far beyond the digital world, and the consequences would shock everyone watching. Imagine this: a quiet, orderly world steeped in centuries of tradition, a world where protocol governs every gesture, every word, every glance. Now, picture that world rocked by a Hollywood actress on a late-night show, calling one of its newest members a fake duchess for all the world to see. That is exactly what Dakota Fanning's comment did, and the fallout rippled far beyond social media and entertainment circles, reaching the very heart of the British royal family. But what exactly happens when centuries-old institutions meet modern celebrity scrutiny? The answer is both fascinating and explosive. For the royals, public perception is everything. Every action, every statement, every public appearance is meticulously orchestrated to maintain dignity, tradition, and the image of the institution. Meghan Markle, as the Duchess of Sussex, occupies a position under constant observation. Her every move is analyzed, dissected, and often criticized. The palace has learned that even minor missteps can become global news. And when Dakota Fanning's words went viral, it wasn't just gossip. It was a disruption, a challenge to the carefully constructed narrative surrounding Meghan's role and persona. The reaction inside the palace was immediate. Advisors, aides, and royal communication strategists mobilized quickly to assess the potential impact. There were questions. Should a formal response be issued? Should Meghan publicly address it, or remain silent? How would the media spin the story? Every option carried risk. Speaking out could make the remark seem valid, drawing more attention to it. Ignoring it could allow the narrative to gain momentum unchecked. In a matter of minutes, the palace was grappling with a modern dilemma that centuries of tradition hadn't prepared it for. The ripple effects weren't just strategic, they were deeply personal. Meghan herself, already navigating the pressures of her dual life as a celebrity turned royal, was likely forced to confront emotions she had not fully anticipated. Anger, frustration, embarrassment, and the weight of public scrutiny all collided in that moment. How do you maintain composure when someone from your former world, Hollywood, publicly questions your authenticity as a duchess? And yet, Meghan has long been trained to manage such pressures, to mask private turmoil behind public poise. The tension between personal feelings and public expectation is one that only those in her position can truly understand. Meanwhile, palace aides were likely evaluating potential fallout in terms of public relations and reputation management. There was an awareness that social media had amplified the comment beyond anything traditional media could control. Within hours, news outlets around the world were covering the story, quoting tweets, embedding clips, and analyzing facial expressions. The viral nature of Dakota's remark meant that the palace could no longer contain the situation internally. It had become a global narrative, one that demanded careful monitoring and response. And let's not underestimate the broader implications. The British royal family exists not only as a symbol of tradition, but also as a global brand. Every action by its members affects public perception, tourism, and even political sentiment in the Commonwealth. When a duchess is publicly labeled as fake, it's not merely a personal insult. It becomes a potential threat to the institution's image. Advisors had to consider, could this spark debates about authenticity, privilege, and modern relevance? Could it influence media narratives about Meghan and her role in the monarchy? The stakes were enormous. Even among royal insiders, there was likely a mix of reactions. Some may have felt sympathy for Meghan, recognizing the unfairness of public scrutiny and the cultural weight behind Dakota's words. Others may have seen the moment as validation of long-standing critiques, a reinforcement of tensions surrounding her integration into the royal family. These internal dynamics are rarely visible to the public, yet they shape how decisions are made, how statements are crafted, and how members of the family navigate the complex landscape of image management. What makes this fallout particularly compelling is the intersection of tradition and modern media. In past generations, criticism of royalty would have been slow, measured, and contained within elite circles.